Think we are live now. At least it looks that way. Oh, have I switched now? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Good. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so welcome to the second installment of Chemical Reactions, where I'm bringing some of my favorite YouTubers on. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, by Akira, which is cool because I'm not sure if you were kind of aware of that, but I got the sense that the two of us have been kind of growing really together. Like when you started making videos was also the time pretty much when I decided to cover, Blue Lock as my, full time as my main thing. And we've always kind of, in terms of subscribers and everything, been kind of close. I think we hit the 1K mark, roughly around the same time. So that's really fun. I feel like even though we haven't really talked that much yet, it's really great to just see how you're doing. And of course, in talking about channels that are really, unique, that have something going for them, which are just personally my favorites as well. I mean, you're really high up there, from having the most gorgeous, the most eye-catching thumbnails to, just the fact that you're able to spin out, half-hour videos or something on topics no one else is doing. It's just really exciting to have you on now, to finally get to meet you. Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I'll say David then. Yeah. Uh, yeah, just say Sean, actually. It feels a bit, I say my name anyways, and yeah, it just... Oh, wait a minute. You can't? Let me just... Oh, right. There we go. Yeah, I did have you muted. Sorry about that. See if this works. And actually, what's also strange is I can't see the comments. Where is that again? Why?
Fine now? Because I can see the green circle on stream, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Hey, everyone. David, I guess. You can call me Akira. Yeah, so I guess we did start at the same time. Which also helps because we both have like the Pokemon theme too. You're the crab sire and I'm the shiny Pikachu.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but...
Yeah, my original icon was just a Pikachu with a mustache that I literally stole from like since 2014. And then when my first video did it well, I was like, oh, I have to actually change it so it's actually me. I don't like taking others' art like that without permission. And I was like, because my channel was always based on him because he had my favorite character design, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'll just take it because I was planning on the long term. Like I was like, oh, he has the coolest design. Like there's 3 characters that always stood out. It was like Akira, who looked edgy, and I was like, oh, he's cool. Which he didn't have the blue skin, which I think is hideous, but that's another topic. And then Nishioka stands out. And then he stands out as well, especially since Fourth Clear are just complete folders. So I was like, hey, this guy has the potential. He's in PXG, he could play then, or he's in episode Nagi, he can also play then. So I was like, oh, he could pay off, or he could just be horrible. That's my biggest fear with the thing. If he turns into a horrible character, doomed.
Yeah, exactly. I think you dodged a bullet there with him not being on the 4v4 team in episode Nagi.
Yeah. Because, where am I from? I'm from Australia, so it's a bit awkward. That's why the timing's off, because in Ireland, in Australia, we're like, I don't know the time difference, but it's like 6 p.m. here, so I just came from work.
Okay, yeah. It's 9 a.m. here, so that means 9-hour time difference. Yeah, so there were... it's kind of... in that sense, I texted at a lucky time because today, just why am I able to stream and not at work? It's because it's a public holiday in Ireland right now, where basically they do Labor Day on the Monday after. So I was like, oh, wait a minute, actually, we can make this work pretty soon. But I am right now just a full boomer mode. I can't seem to, like, usually there should be an OBS chat out, and I just can't see it right now. So I'm probably just going to go onto YouTube and watch my own stream to be able to... Oh, wait a minute, actually... Okay, there we go.
But yeah, that's fine. So what's first to talk about?
Yeah, I was actually curious, just, Icebreaker, how did you get into Blue Lock?
All right, so back when I was first in university, so this was 6 years ago, I think, because I studied soft eng at UNSW, which was like prestige school in Australia, whatever, which I didn't really like, but like I still graduated. But and then one of my friends, he was like, "Oh, you wanna check this manga out called Blue Lock?" So this was back when Team W versus Team Z happened, I think. Like I was there from like...
Oh, holy shit! Okay.
From time, but I wasn't like properly invested into it. Like I only read it once or whatever, and then I think, when did I get fully involved? I think after the anime, I was like, because I looked at the sales and stuff, and I saw the promotion for it. It was like the views of skyrocketing something. I was like, I'm just gonna capitalize on it, because I always wanted to be like a YouTuber for like a manga, like not Blue Lock in specific, but just that's what I started off with. And then I saw a opportunity. I was like, hey, no one's done this shoe theory, so I don't know if you know it. It was like, people with green shoes would be from Team W and stuff. Team X would have white shoes.
Oh, okay.
So my first view was based on that, and like, so it'd be like, who in the second selection? So all the fodder characters like Endoji, Nanase, they would have like blue shoes, so they would be from Team C. So my first video was just figuring out who played with who in the first selection. Because in the long term, I always wanted to make my own headcanon to who played. Because it's 5 stories.
Yeah.
We only followed one. I was like, what are the other 4 stories? They're very interesting. And then I was like, okay, I'll make that video. And then the first week, it did... This video took 2 months to make because I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I had the same when I was first doing it as well, that you find out it takes ages to just get all the basics done. And like my first video looked awful. I bet yours probably looking back.
Yeah, I look back. I'm still proud of it because I'm happy with what I produced. It could be a lot better. But then the first week, I think it had probably sub 100 views. I was like, oh, what a waste of time. I wasted 2 months on this. Like, it wasn't like 2 months constant. It was like just over the span of 2 months. But it felt like I put a lot of effort into it. And then the week after, I had to go somewhere with my mom, I think. And then on the car ride there, I woke up, this is like 9 a.m. in the morning, 8 a.m. Or it had like 10,000 views. I was like, what the hell happened overnight? It like, from the Friday to the Saturday, it gained probably 8,000, 9,000 views. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. It was like insane. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll keep trying. So at that point, I was going to give up straight. Like, I didn't see any payoff for it. And then second one, I think 2 weeks later, like I actually grinded for that to be more consistent. Now I can't be bothered. I only do it like once a month.
Yeah, exactly.
I really tried for it. But then it was like a theory on why, I think it was why Ness will injure Isugi, which was wrong. I was still, like, my opinions on that, it's very different now. I think you actually assist.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, and then I lean more into the side stories now. So like, yeah, like the second selection who played with each other, and I try to do more. Like I do my own icons and stuff. Like I do a lot of try to branch out more niche than what some other people do, because I feel like, especially with thumbnails lately, I feel like they're very generic on YouTube. I see them, and not to throw shade at someone, like from like Natsu and some other big ones, they always use the same color artists on Twitter and stuff. So they'll be like from the True Twist, the two-horned one. Like, they're such good art, so it makes sense you'd use them. And then I was like, they're all a bit samey. That's why I try to explore with, like, a new type of thumbnail, which is
Yeah.
why I generally think the thumbnails carry my channel so much.
I
They're like,
wouldn't be surprised. Like, and I don't want to say carry because that makes it sound as if, your videos aren't worth watching or anything, but your thumbnails are just so insanely clickable. It looks really professional. They're absolutely gorgeous.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. The one I'm very proud of was my predicting who makes the top 23.
Oh, let
It
me
was
have a
like
quick
the
look.
East in the middle, green. It just because I don't do them all by myself,
Hmm.
and then because I normally have the picture and stuff, I do it. I'll have like the layout and stuff, and then because I'm a twin, right? He's more into the outside and stuff, so he'll fix the colors and stuff. So he'll do
Wow.
the polish, which makes it a lot better. Like I could probably do it, but it'll take me 3 times as long. And then I look at them and I'm like, "Oh, they're so much better." I still look at some of them, I'm like, I think the Hiyori one I did, like,
Hmm.
when he did it, we both were like, "Oh, this looks horrible." Because at the
Really?
time no, not that. If you go into it because if you click on my videos, the first 5 seconds will always have the thumbnail,
Okay.
because on mobile view, it will autoplay the video, right? But the
Mm.
thumbnails took so much time that I just put it in the middle, and that'll be like my opening statement. So when mobile see it, they'll see the thumbnail and they'll be like, "Hey, that's a cool thumbnail," and they focus on it.
Oh,
That's like one of my
right.
pure strategies. And then that Hero one looks so trash because when you have blue and then this one red icon, the
Hmm.
color theory is like, "Oh shit!" And then like I think it was a week or two later, he kept looking back, and he's like, "Nah, I'll fix it." Like, he fixed the whole thing, he changed everything. So now it looks a lot better, but I think that's by far my worst
Okay.
performing video. So I was like, "Oh, whatever, it deserved it." Yeah. But to be fair, some of your thumbnails are pretty good as well.
Like for this year, I've set myself the goal to kind of, as you say, it is, a lot of people using the same colorist's art. And I really say, okay, I want to stop with this, partly, just because a lot of people are using these artworks, but also just in general, I never felt great about stealing other people's artwork. So I'm trying to, partly rely on official art and partly to, I've working together with the guy. It's a really sad story, actually. So he was on Instagram called Ciorix, and we got in touch. I got in touch with every of the artists who I'd stolen from, and then he was actually very excited to work with me. So I've actually been commissioning a bit from him now. I can't just in terms of personal finances, I can't commission everything, but I am trying to do like every other video or something. And like, I love his work. The sad thing is for him, his Instagram got hacked, I'd say right a few weeks
Ciorix?
after. Sorry?
Is this Ciorix
Yeah,
or is
the
this someone else?
Ciorix. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's someone I wanted to find, but they were so difficult because all their stuff got hacked or whatever.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember that who was it? ReZero or something? Rio Zero? I forgot how to
Oh,
pronounce
okay.
his. I saw him tweet about Ciorix getting banned, and then I tried to contact them on Twitter. Oh, but they had no Twitter. I checked TikTok or something, and then my TikTok got banned. But on my account I start off with, it's straight up banned. My Twitter got like banned for some reason because it was like suspicious activity. So I couldn't even like message half the people I needed to DM because one of the videos I did, I took a lot of art. I
Hmm.
I, I think 15 different artists or something. But I could only ask 12, I think. I still didn't get 3 permissions, which is gross for me. I still need to double check with them if they're fine.
Mm.
But for now, I'm sticking more to manga panels, or at least stuff I make.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I'll, if you want, I can, we'll do that, off stream, but I can get you in touch with him if you want at some point, because I do, we're still in touch. I was kind of fortunate that I was able to reach out to him right before that happened. But yeah, no, really sorry for him, just because like he had so many gorgeous artworks and they're just all gone now. But yeah, out of curiosity, by the way, just so to segue into one of the topics we were going to discuss, kind of, I'm going to do it in a roundabout way. Out of curiosity, what are you looking forward to nowadays more? To Blue Lock chapters or to episode Nagi chapters?
It's hard because I'm more excited for the spin-off because I like the idea of seeing, like, when I see Himazu appear last chapter, I'm like, that's so cool. But for the actual gameplay, I just don't care because I know the end result. So I'm looking for the gameplay for the PXG game. And then, but episode 9, I just like seeing the characters. When Karasu and Toya walked in, I'm like, that's so cool. It makes no sense narratively. I feel like there was such a, like, it felt completely wrong. Like they didn't think of it at the time because they were part of Chigiri's team, like next. And then it feels like they just they just forgot he existed or his weapons and stuff. And I just don't see how they lost. So I am looking forward to how it makes sense. But,
I was wondering that as well. I also went to double check because, to be honest, the third selection is the part of the manga that I've reread the least. So I actually had to check, okay, who did Nagi play against in the third selection, and does that make sense? But exactly the same issue. Yeah, it's at the same time, I kind of like, the Karas, when he was first introduced, he was a real bully, right? He was just, hounding down Isagi. And then that side of his character kind of got lost since, I think, but, has been played up significantly less. He's a lot, more likable, more cool now. So it's kind of fun to now have him be part of this delinquent, what do you call it again? Group.
I agree with Macy in the comments. Like, it does ruin the narrative cohesion of the second selection. I don't see how it made any sense for Chigiri, Karasu, and Otoya to verse each other since they seem very distant. They forgot.
Yeah.
And then there's like, there's more stuff I dislike. I enjoyed Hiragi joining Nikon Zantetsu's team, but then, because my theory relied on he was Hiyori on that team originally. I was like, they were distinctly after someone they can easy to communicate with, and then he was a complete nobody. So I was like, oh, okay. It's like, but it was interesting to see him. I was just like, oh, so it's gonna be very unpredictable. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a bit hard to tell. What did he say? 24 hours. Each match means no other team had a 4v4. Yeah, that's another thing I didn't get either, Macy. Like, if it's every day, it takes 24 hours in the second selection. So the matches like that. The first clear team took 6 days or 5 days. I forgot the exact amount. And then it's like, are you telling me no other team finished it by that time? And then the way the math works is if you can only get eliminated from the 2v2, if every single team of the 125 make it, that means there's 19 teams, right? Or 18 teams. I've got the exact math from my top of my head.
Yesterday, just out of curiosity, sat down to do the math. How do we know there were 19 starting teams?
Oh, it's not 19 starting teams. It's 19 surviving teams. There's 125, so if you divide that by 3, you'd get a certain amount. But if you go on Reddit, there's like a tree diagram kind of thing of how it would play out. But it's very difficult.
Okay.
Everyone keeps. If you only get eliminated from the 2v2, someone always gets picked up. So it's like no one gets eliminated.
Yeah.
But only 17 survive. But at the same time, we do know after the World 5 match, so against Loki and stuff, that we know it's a test. So it can make that a trash team of someone like Kuon, Imamaru, and Iamon just got absolutely rolled and showed nothing. And then they lose off. And they're like, you have team of 5, but it doesn't matter, you're trash. And then that makes sense that 19 can be into only 7.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't it the case as well that there is a cutoff point in terms of time. Like if you don't have 5 folks before a certain moment, then it's just a cutoff there as well. So if you're just kind of middling and winning a bit, losing a bit, and just kind of never hitting the final number, you're not gonna make it either, right?
Yeah. Well, because there's 111, like Macy said, but of the 125, realistically, all of them would make it because the tests were adjusted. It's in an episode Nagi that test like Igaguri can survive
Yeah.
even with like 2 minutes left, and then I forgot what I was saying. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Before comedy. Okay, you carry on. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, just quickly running the Now I'm curious myself. Oh yeah, you're right. I was doing the math yesterday, and I ended up with 185, but I was just wrong somehow. But it is, yeah, it's 125, and that means if you divide that by 3, 25 divided by 3.
Oh, right. The time thing you mentioned.
Yeah,
but
so 42 teams, of which, let me see, so we know 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We know 9 teams, kind of, or at least we know 2 candidates of 9 teams, and then there's the one with the, pick 3 out of 4 between Kiora, Himizu, Karas, and Otoya. So that leaves us with, what is it then? 32 teams.
Yeah, it's like I remember doing this stuff about it, and it's very awkward because it's like day one, a lot of teams make it. And it's why when we see Naki and Izzy drop down to the 2v2, they're having lunch, and you see like 50 other people there.
Yeah.
So like the first day, what you're telling me in 5 or 6 days, none of the 4v4 teams of 4 ever versed each other. And the time thing makes no sense either. It's like, oh, Tokumitsu's scared of time, which is fine. No one wants you verse you. You run out of time, get eliminated. But when it comes down to it, you would just eventually play the 4v4 anyway. And it's like, because if you're a trash team against a trash team, who cares? Like, as long as you win or get picked up. So I don't know. It didn't really make sense. But I try to make the most of it.
No, exactly. Also because you're right that Rin's team was, I guess, just sitting around for 2 days doing nothing while they were waiting for Isagi to arrive back for 4v4.
Yeah, it's very I don't think the author thought of it very much. Like he just like whatever. Because the other annoying thing is, if there's 125 survivors at that point, are you telling me the only ones ever involved are the surviving 35? And then I'm like, oh, that makes no sense. There's 125 people. They have to verse each other.
Yeah,
On the
exactly.
bright side, in the final game for in episode Nagi, so it'll probably be Corona's team, right? He'll have to have 3 fodders since there's no survivors after him. So that's why I'm actually not confident that will happen. Like you'll see on screen. I think they just may skip to the 3rd selection.
Wait, is there another match after this one in episode Nagi?
There's no confirmed, but there's a chance we see Ryo's perspective. So we see him go through his 3v3 against Sakura, and then his 4v4 against Corona.
Oh, like that. Okay, got it. Yeah.
But they could just completely skip it. Did I watch real life football? Not much. I wasn't much younger, and then I just stopped when I became a nerd in school and started studying. Because I was very into learning nerd stuff. Like all high school and uni, I just studied for like a decade straight. So I don't watch much anymore because it's very difficult as well. Because in my time, the games live will happen at like 2 a.m., 1 a.m. It's like,
oh, of course.
Staying up. So I watch like highlights and stuff, but it's not the same. But I don't know about you, but I don't really follow a specific team anyway because I have no like cultural thing. I don't live in the cities or anything. I really don't care about if Man City wins or Man United. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah.
Out of
Oh,
curiosity, what is the biggest sport in Australia? Is that Australian rules football or
bro, I'm not a sports guy in Australia. No, I think it's either cricket or NRL, I think, but they're both boring as to watch.
which?
It's not soccer. Soccer's dead. I think the only our soccer girls team was good. Uh, but yeah, but I don't watch that either. I watched a few of her games. Oh, not hers, but her team. But
Mm.
the rest of the sports, yeah, just boring.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough. Like, just I'm not a big sports person either. It's like when I was growing up, so every boy in my class was really into football, and I was kind of the nerd in the class anyway. So for me, that was always kind of this thing of, okay, I'm not like them, so I can't like football. It was kind of childish that way. So I was always, or for ages, very much anti, I hate this so much. So like mates of mine have laughed very hard that I now have a YouTube channel on a football manga.
yeah, I think I would see because back in school, I think I stopped playing soccer when I got a broken arm or something. So after that, I played more basketball and stuff. And nowadays, I only play volleyball. So they're like, "Oh, why are you doing soccer?" But I was like, "Ah, because it brings in the views." But, yeah. Um, they waited so long because they were afraid of Ikiguri. Wanted him to clear first before accepting any matches. Yeah, I saw the lessons from anime. Anytime I see his comments, by the way, it makes my days because his sub count is so insanely high.
Yeah.
So when he ever messaged, I'm like, bro, I made it. When some big guy, because in life I know other couple YouTubers who
Mhm.
are bigger than that, but he's like the first one. I think I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" Like, someone I don't know in life that's actually recognized me, and I was like, "Oh, his comments are great." Then, yeah, I know he mentioned Igiguri and what my thoughts on him in the future, and I was like, "Bro, my expectations for Igiguri are so high." I I
Are
I
they?
know
Yeah.
people dislike him, but yeah, because I've seen people literally say they don't even expect him to play. And I'm like, mate, he had a full chapter. He had 248. That was his chapter. It's dedicated to him
Yeah.
about his ego and stuff. Or you think he's not going to play at all? Makes no sense. Why would you even do that? Like, he'll
No,
probably sub
exactly.
in.
Chapter 248 really changed my view as well of, okay, now we're going to play this straight. And I'm also really hoping I was watching actually this morning your Igaguri video, and I was kind
Oh,
of glad to hear you saying, no, he can't just foul Shido and get an offer, because you're right, that makes no sense whatsoever.
yeah. It's very. Because that point also sucks because everything's recorded for them. So they know he's actively trying to foul. So it kind of deteriorates his value, because if he keeps screaming, "Bro, I'm gonna foul in front of cameras," how many games can he do that for before people are like, "Oh, just get him off the pitch," before they get sick of it? And then
Yeah.
that video is so outdated because at this point in time, I don't think he's making top 23.
Oh, you
It's
don't
because
anymore?
no, because his ego isn't to make the top 23. His ego is just become a starter. So him getting a salary at all, it fulfills his ego and originality and stuff. So, but at the
Mm.
same time, a starter's value is because I think he's going to be center back, right? Like a defensive position.
Hmm.
Like Men's and Birkenstock are both fodders who can just leave easily. So I expect Ikiguri to sub in when Loki subs in. And I think he'll sub Loki or Shido or contribute in the defense. And then I think he'll come in when PXG have 2 goals. It'll be like if Ikiguri is on the field and then PXG never score a goal, that looks significantly better. Because I've
Hmm.
seen people comment, "Hey, Gagamaru deserves a better salary and stuff." But the fact is, he's conceded 2 goals every single match. Like, it's like Fikaku the previous game. Like, he subbed in and then he got like a 28 million increase, 23 million increase to 28. And then, but he only gave away 1 goal or whatever. So it's probably a better performance than what Gagamaru showed.
Mm. Yeah.
But to be fair, Gagamaru's more likable. And yeah.
Yeah. Though for me, the bizarre one actually with Fukaku is I still don't quite get what, happened there because they sub him in, right? Which is a very marked thing to do. And then he just doesn't get any real feats. He doesn't ever stop any goals. He lets Isagi's final goal through, and here you go, have a salary now. So
Yeah, so I think the issue was I think Sendo subbing in was the biggest issue. It should have been Fukaku saving the ball on a hero shot instead,
mhm,
but it didn't make sense because Fukaku is not making the top 23. I know people think the goalkeeper rule is legit and stuff. It's not happening because the rule is you need 3, right, for the
yeah,
U20 team. But the fact is, for one, we already need 21 characters instead of 23 in the official rules.
mhm,
So for one, it shouldn't even be 23 to start with. And then his salary is he was only created to set a placeholder, like a threshold for the others to beat. Because he plays for Ubers, right?
yeah,
Or teams are playing in the final round, Ubers. So he's locked at 28 million. So
yeah,
we know that he will have to have the lowest rating. And so if Kira wants to make it, he has to overdo Fukaku's 28 million. He has one game to exceed that,
yeah.
which is insane. Because we know Hiro and Raichi are going to succeed. And there's going to be Zentetsu and Tokumitsu also, like, up there as well. So 28 million is probably the lowest you can get. So he is the threshold. That's why he was created, in the sense that he gives the idea that, hey, he can make it because he's a second goalkeeper.
Mhm.
But in reality, it's only a threshold for the other characters to overtake. Because now we know, hey, the lowest limit is that.
Oh,
Which
that
is
actually makes sense. I quite like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's my next video. Is like, who will make the top 23? Which I also want to talk about briefly.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Wait, didn't you had one video on this already, right? So this is kind of updating your predictions since then.
Yeah, because a lot has happened. Because I did that when the round offers happened. So since then, we had Nanase, Kiora introduced and stuff. But
Mhm.
like, there's a lot more happened. And then the volume covers theory is the dumbest thing I've heard. It's not the dumbest, but do you
Yeah,
know that theory? The
yeah,
volume cover
I
theory?
saw references to it, but I'm not quite sure. Is it just that whoever's on the volume cover is making the top 23?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's
Okay.
like, it would make sense theoretically. Oh, it means Cure and Nanase will get the final 2 spots, and it means Nantatsu's gone, right?
Mhm.
But the issue with this theory is the fact, what was it? The PXG vs. Boston minigame will last 4 volumes, right?
Yeah.
So the last 2 rounds, so Manshine vs. Bastard, and then Ubers vs. Bastard,
Yeah.
they both lasted 30 chapters in gameplay, and then they'll have like 4 or 5 chapters after. Since each volume is worth 9 chapters, right?
Yeah.
It means BM versus PXG, that has to be the similar length, right?
Yeah,
Or
that's
at
my
least more.
expectation as well, pretty much.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have 4 volumes. We're having 4 volumes for this.
Yep.
So we just had Nanase the first one, and then
Mhm.
we will have 3 more, which are obviously Charles, Santetsu, and Ikiguri. So
Yeah,
the volume
fair.
cover theory cannot happen because we know more characters will get it and not make it. And there's also the case with Sai, and it's just
Yeah.
he's not making it. Like,
Oh, you
I know
don't think
people
Sai is making the final cut?
it doesn't make sense for like he's not been hinted at all to join the team, and the emphasis on there's the top 23. Like in the last 2 round offers, they're like, "Oh, I just made it with 23," or "I'm
Mhm.
just outside it." How stupid it would be if Sai was just like, "Yeah, bro, I got a 300 million salary," and then they just kick out the 23rd person. The only way that happens is if he just counts as the 24th person. And I think the other issue is Hiri is just what Sai is. If
Mhm.
you ever want Hiri on the field, you'd replace him with just Sai. And then there's the whole emphasis on Hiri's character, his ego, which is the exact same as Sai. So I don't see any point of introducing him back into the story yet. I think
Okay, yeah.
what will happen is Iski will get picked up by Real. So he'll be on the team with Sai himself and Luna. He will
Mhm.
steal Kaiser's spot on the team. So we'll see Sai develop his character then. And we'll potentially see Shido on the team too. And then yeah, Hero X I would be deadly. They're so both insanely good. Hero
Oh,
and yeah,
Hiyori is, yeah, exceeding all my expectations. I'm so happy to see he's still getting a fair amount of story time in PXG.
yeah, it's but the biggest shock to me was they shifted him to be Charles's opponent
Yeah,
because I always thought it would Ness be him and he would be focused on Karasu. And then a lot of the matchups are actually way off for me. I expected Toki and Raichi to verse, but it's more Toki verse Ness and stuff, and
mm,
it caught me off guard. I am excited for Toki though, because I've seen people cut him off the roster because he's not playing good or something. Mate, he already has a 23 million salary, and he's a
right.
late game monster. That's his whole thing.
Yeah,
I think because if you don't remember in the second selection stuff, he can handle Bachara.
yeah,
Like, he can handle
exactly.
his shooting stuff. As soon as Corona tries to push field with Isugi, Toki's gonna have a field day. He will catch up with Corona like any day of the week. Even if he's fast, he can match his movements. And I think
Yeah.
that will happen very soon because Reen's goal will probably be next, I believe.
Fair, yeah. Just kind
Or
of
after.
one thing on Sai, and this is a bit segue or coming from my U20 analysis that I dropped a while back. So one of the things that's interesting is Sai was really set up as, there needs to be some kind of hero for Japanese football. And originally that's Sai, that's kind of set at the start of the U20 match. And then over the course of the match, there's different candidates who want to become this hero. And at the very end, the chapter where Isagi scores kind of ends with this, or starts with this shot of a broken hero toy, which symbolized a lot of things. It symbolizes, Rin choosing to become a monster rather than a hero, and also then crushing the promised hero. And kind of why Sai wasn't able to become the hero of Blue Lock is simply because he didn't believe that Japanese football had a future at all. So he can't really become the new future of Japanese football if you don't care about that. And then kind of the U20 match ends with Sai's big character moment being realizing, no, wait, this actually can happen. And my original dream of winning the World Cup is feasible. So I have the sense, like, it maybe not the U20 World Cup, but if we're doing 2 World Cup arcs, it's really important, I think, that Sai will be present in some way, shape, or form for the final arc, and that he will participate in making that dream a reality, because then kind of his whole character from, chapter 4 onwards really comes full circle. And would you, out of curiosity, because I'm undecided on this at the moment, do you think we're going to have a U20 World Cup and then, maybe something in between followed by a, real World Cup, maybe with a time skip? Or do you think the U20 World Cup is basically it and they win that and then it's the end of the manga?
Okay, I'm a bit conflicted. Okay, so the U20 is definitely confirmed.
Yeah.
I do want to just really point out for the Blu-rays that they may change 23 to 26, like in the real world. I kind of agreed. That's one of the points I was going to make in my next video, where Burasada, the fat old dude, whatever, how he approached the FIFA guy? He was like, hey, I have a recommendation. That is a potential change he could do, whereas like maybe increase the limit to 26. That way you could have Sai, Zentatsu Akira, whoever's the last, and Ikiguri. Like, because realistically, the final 26 for the World Cup will be the exact same as our current one, plus it will have Sai, it will have Kiora, and it will have Ikiguri. So those are the 3 characters I think won't make it.
Okay.
And then, yeah. There's also the issue where Charles isn't even eligible to play in the U20 World Cup. And then,
oh, right,
because
okay.
his birthday exceeds it. That was one of my other points where I think, hey, Charles isn't playing there for starters. And Loki, if it's based on Mbappe, I don't think he played in the U20 World Cup. So I don't even think France is going to be relevant.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Tournament. And then, so I think U20 happens. And then I think we go to like the Premier League or whatever. So I think this is with like Rail. So we will have Izugi, Sai, Shido, and Luna be on the team. And then I don't know how long that'll last. I think they may speedrun it. and we'll have like Reen versus that team to be the very last thing, and we'll have Iski win that. And then I think they'll skip to the World Cup, because the World Cup has to happen, because we had Chris state, hey, he wants to crush Iski. We had Baru and Snuffy say,
yeah.
hey, we're gonna ignite your ambitions to crush you. And this will be the time when Loki and Charles will play against each other. Like, against people. Like, we will see the dangerous combo. We've waited for so long.
Right,
And
yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, that may last way too long, because NEL was already going very long. Like,
yeah, that's it.
100. It will be 100 and it's over 100 chapters long, because it'll end on chapter 184.
Yeah, it starts around 150-ish off the top of my head.
And it's gonna go to close to 300, like right before. And so I think he may just skip the Premier League one and just jump straight to the World Cup. Or they'll only do one match, similar to like the end of Haikyuu, where they just skipped all the second year, third year stuff. They just jump. Loki, Charles, and Noah are all on the same team. That's true as well. If Noah's on the French team as well, that will probably be the final obstacle, I think. The final game will be Loki, Charles, Noah.
Yeah, it'll be like, I mean, Isagi will have to surpass the world's best striker to become the new world's best striker, I guess. So there, I think you're right.
Because he's going to eliminate Noah, so he beats the old guard, and then he's going to beat Loki, the new guard. So he will cement himself as the best player. Yeah. And then I think it will end. Because it's going to take ages, I think. I think that's one of the other biggest thing. Like, because U20 may last 100 chapters. The World Cup's probably longer than that as well. It's very long. Like, it may go to like 2020, like 2030 or something. And it depends how long they would get sick of it. At the same time, the manga sales are insanely high. So, like, I don't see the author quitting. Because a lot of his other work, like Kama-sama Game and Jargon, they lasted quite a long time as well.
Yeah, what I'm just kind of wondering about, also your thoughts. So I definitely agree, because if we're doing 2 tournaments, that can last ages if he wants. He can really drag that out. What I am noticing, though, is with the NEL, a lot of the characters seem to be, fairly realized at this point. So I'm looking at, characters like Baro, like Bachira, where I'm like, there, in my mind, isn't that much room for them to grow as characters. Like, I'm not talking about skill sets, because I'm sure they can improve as players, but in terms of realizing who they are, and Blue Lock is really, every major arc has significant character moments for them, right? Second selection U20 to NEL, and I find it difficult to imagine 2 more big arcs with 2 more major character moments for all of Blue Lock's supporting cast.
See, the thing is, I don't think it's very necessary to have them have, like, everyone have a big moment. Because even in the U20, the only real conflict was Rin versus Sai. Everyone else, even like Aiku versus Izuki, that wasn't even really a thing or anything like that. Like, they would focus more on the game, which I think a lot of people would probably like more, I guess. Because I know people hate Hiyori's backstory in the middle of the match and how it can drag stuff on. So we'll probably see, like, development from the enemy, like, teams. And then we'll see stuff like Snuffy Awaken and stuff. And that will push Baru as well. So, I don't know. I still think it's possible. It's just we don't know half the players. Because even for the U20 teams, because I've seen one misconception, and it's like, oh, the Blue Lockers are going to steamroll through it. Because just look at all the U20 players. They're all kind of trash in the nicest way possible. Because, like, on Bastard, who is there? You have Kaisa and you have Ness. And there's, like, no one else on the team that's good. But then people are like, oh, Blue Lock's just going to steamroll them because there's no one good on their team. But that team is not who we will see in the U20 World Cup.
No, definitely not.
Because if you remember at the end of the first match, they said EC got an offer from, I don't remember what the team is, but the other rival German team. They will probably be significantly better at defense or
Yeah,
something.
it's Berserk or something, Dortmund.
Yeah, those teams are just going to merge. And so we're actually going to see a stronger version of Kaiser's team.
Basically, yeah.
Do you actually expect Kaiser to score this match?
No, I have shifted to, with what chapter was that, like 3-ish chapters after Isagi's goal, I am now on team hat trick. That's not like I can still see a potential for Kaiser scoring, but if you'd put a gun to my head, I'd say a hat trick, just because when Isagi spells out that, okay, very concretely, at the start of the PXG match, okay, my goals here are to, surpass Rin as the number one, and also to definitively become the, king of bastards. And then he sets out after his first goal in very concrete ways how he could do that. Okay, I would beat Rin if and only if I make sure to have a hat trick just like he has. And my sense is that kind of the entire writing of the NEL is for Isagi to become the best in Blue Lock. He's, learning from not even being able to articulate his picture of the world's best to actively visualizing it and making that a reality. So I wouldn't like it personally if the NEL ends and there's still kind of this tension, this rivalry between Isagi and Rin, as like, yeah, they both kind of won, they both kind of lost, it's still in the air, who's better? Then nothing has changed since the U20 match. Whereas the whole point, I think, of the NEL is that Isagi is now cementing himself as the, hero of Japanese football to head into the U20 World Cup, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I remember when the Wise made a video at the very beginning, Easy going to get a hat trick, and I just thought, nah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because in my mind, Kunigami was always going to score against Shido. That was the main thing, and he was going to get 2 more. That's what I expected: a brace and Kunigami scoring. And then when Kunigami assisted, I was like, yeah, it does actually make sense. And then when he just distinctly says, if I get a hat trick, I'll overtake him. And it also works as the whole objective, because it's leaning towards easing the next goal, I believe. I don't think they're going to give Kaiser another, because the whole goal from the beginning of the NEL was beating Kaiser.
Right,
but Kaiser
exactly.
Scoring the final goal doesn't really make any sense. To me, the most thing that makes sense is Ness betraying him and just straight up assisting Isagi. Because every single match afterwards, he's shown he desires that magic that Isagi has. He just witnesses like, oh, that's the same thing Kaiser had when he mesmerized me. So I actually think there's a good chance he just assists him. And that's how it'll play out.
Yeah, the thing is, I can definitely see that. I've heard that elsewhere as well. And so I'm torn about this, right? Because I really like the Ness backstory. I really like this dynamic of, okay, the guy looking for magic together with the guy who makes the impossible a reality. And if I would like some form of that to be retained going forward, but that's maybe just wishful thinking on my end.
Yeah. I did read a comment where it's like, so from the TDA guy in the chat, it's like, I hope Kaiser scores. Nagi and Baru haven't defeated Isagi since the first selection. I can't take their rivalry that serious. Yeah, I agree with that so much. Like, Isagi wins all the time. Like, but to be fair, he got the better stick than Nagi. Nagi got done dirty in this match. Like, the whole idea, he scores a super goal, but besides that, he played terrible. Like, Chigiri both were better players.
Yeah.
And then at least Baru showed something. At least when Snuffy and Noah left the court, they were like, hey, these two, like specifically them two, have the potential to change Japan. They didn't say that about Nagi or anything. Like, Baru's still in contention, but he will never win. That's the biggest issue. Because I think when I first read the NEL, I was expecting Ubers to actually beat Bastard because they have teamwork and cohesion. you had Baru state
Yeah.
in the after the first selection, hey, after the second selection, or right before third, he's like, I'm never gonna lose to you again. And then in the
Yeah.
same scene, right after, Nico appears and is like, hey, bro, I'm not gonna ever lose to you again. Both
Mhm.
easy, and it's like they're both on Ubers. This is the match that can happen, and then they just didn't, which is fine as well because Isagi winning every single match also works. But
Yeah, but it's funny because I was also very strongly on the train of Uber's winning in the previous match. Like I saw a lot of these things of, you know, Isagi scoring the first goal. Suddenly, you know, I've developed a weapon before the game even starts as too good to be true, and this is kind of setting him up to stumble and fail. And I saw like everything for quite a while as, no, this is going to be subverted, he's just playing with our expectations. But looking back now, it makes a lot of sense for me why Isagi had to win that, and kind of, you know, both for what the Urbers match itself is about and the kind of larger storyline of the NEL.
yeah, because like defeating someone in 1v1, like the comment I was reading, in an actual match is completely different. And I also agree because like Nagi defeats in quotation marks Isagi in literally one play and then just gives up for the rest of the match.
Yeah.
You didn't win, mate. What are you doing? I didn't get that. I was like, you had a temporary victory against him, and then you just dipped. And then I was like, bro, you're so trash. Like, because I don't like Nagi. I think Nagi's character is not well written. Because I don't like those prodigy types. I hate the idea of some guy picking up soccer 6 months ago that can trap and do these fake shots. Like, it's fine story wise, but I can't imagine that in life.
Oh no, like also in the Nagi novel, and he's just randomly good at everything, where it does feel a bit over the top. Or like the Blue Lock Light novel, the Nagi chapter. What's it? I forget what it is exactly, but he's also, it's volleyball or something, and exact same thing. He's like, oh yeah, I can just do that for no reason.
In his defense, he's built for volleyball. He's 6'3". He has insane cushioning for his muscles. He's like built for it. If I versed him, because I played as well, but he would be miserable to play. But he is lazy. I think that's another thing where I think they stuff up, because I don't think Nagi would be that difficult to defend. We've seen Neo and stuff in the U20 game, and he straight up just blocks him trapping and stuff. And I think that's another issue the NEL has had. Like, the defenders are so trash. It's why Itsugi and Kaiser always has the fallback. It just feels like they could do so much more to stop Nagi. Like, after the 5th revolver fake volley thing he did, bro, just tackle the guy. Like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just felt like, yeah, it wouldn't happen in life because someone was straight up like the foul and would just stop him. But I don't know. Nagi's character just annoyed me.
Should I just clip like you ranting about Nagi for 3 minutes straight, put that on the channel and see see your sub count meltdown? Or
this way. I think if I wanted my channel to die, I would just say how much I hate Reen. Because Reen, man, he's even worse than Nagi. Like, personality wise, bro, he makes me want to shoot myself. His backstory is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Oh, boo-hoo, your brother changes his ambitions to be the best striker to a midfielder, and then he chucks a sook in the middle of the field like, you're not my brother. And it's like a bit of an overreaction, don't you think? He just came home after a miserable 3 years in Spain, and it's like, and then when it's like, oh bro, you're trash, like, and just schools him. Am I meant to feel bad for him? But it's like, no, mate, it's literally your own fault. How do you like say you're not my brother after changing your dreams? Brother, you're like 8 and 10. It makes no sense. Who cares? Mate, if my ambitions as a 10-year-old was to be a surgeon, mate, I'm not a surgeon now. I want to say to my brother, I think you're a failure. I don't know. Reen's whole character is so stupid. Like, his backstory is just so dumb. He was by far the worst thing in the story. Like, I can't imagine that in life. Like, you just go to your brother like, bro, you're not my brother, man. You changed your dreams, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'll just, because Rin is not my favorite character either, so I'm not like gonna defend any of this. The one thing I will say, that's kind of what I realized also when doing the U20 video, was my read at least is it might not be so much the fact that Sai is saying that, oh, I won't be a striker. What he's also saying is, okay, first it's you follow after me. I'll be number one, you'll be number two. And that's kind of what Rin wants. He really admires Sai. Sai is the beautiful destruction. He's absolutely fascinated. He likes this idea of having someone, that being their dynamic. And what Sai does once he comes back is he shifts that. He says, no, I'll be the best midfielder, you'll be the best striker, and we're basically on par. So with doing that, Sai removes himself as Rin's role model, and he changes the entire nature of their relationship. It's not just this arbitrary dream. He's saying, okay, and now I won't be your older brother hero figure anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, realistically,
nothing in Blue Lock is realistic, but yeah.
It makes sense. In life, I think it's so stupid. That's just my opinion.
No, but very fair.
Of the backstories we've seen, you compare it to Kaiser, he got beat up. Because I think Nessa also has a stupid backstory. Like, I know you said you liked it earlier, but his parents were just so maliciously evil. Like, it's too cartoony. And then I think Yukimiya probably has the best backstory, I think. His panels were like, who stole my dream? Bro, it's one of the reasons he's one of my top 3. He's like,
oh, interesting.
His backstory is the best done, I think.
Okay.
Especially, there's so much to talk about. The other thing I like about it is, I've seen people talk about him. He joined a team of rationality, but he has to do the irrational play because that is the rational thing.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the characters that is limited by time. Because his eyes on they're failing and stuff, yada yada. But that's his whole premise, where he's like, he could play as a team player, but he doesn't have time to do it. So he has to do all these illogical plays. He has to dribble past the whole team and score himself, because that is the rational thing for his character. And I just like the idea of doing something rational.
Yeah.
That is irrational.
Yeah, which I think it's so cool that he kind of gets the last laugh as well, because if Isagi, who, that's a whole thing, he beats Chris Prince. Chris Prince does this irrational play to surpass Noah. And then Isagi beats Prince by tapping into full rationality. But then at the very end, it's like, no, exactly as you say, Isagi has rationally mapped out Yukimiya's goal, but then suddenly Reo comes and stops that. And if it were only Isagi's play, only Isagi's rationality, then they would have failed and BM might not have won. And it's because Yukimiya went this extra stage, went the extra mile for no rational reason whatsoever, that they were able to pull off the win, which I think is such a cool dynamic. I'm really hoping he comes back for the PXG match. I really hope he gets one more moment at least.
The fact the Ubers match made me so mad, just simply because of Yukimiya.
Yeah.
Our sideline deal. We introduced into the match, hey, this match is about 1v1s. We have Yukimiya talk to Ego right before the match, and he's like, I have to prove myself to Ajax to get that. He wants to earn his own value. Brother, he passed the ball once and failed. It's like, are you telling me the 1v1 Emperor, the best dribbler in the world, gets nothing the whole match? I'm just like, are you kidding me? And then we go on to PXG and he's not even playing yet. I know he'll do something afterwards, but I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Well, I expected him to get the Hiyori treatment. I expected him to be number 2 on his team, working with him and stuff. And he got sidelined so much.
Oh.
Same as Raichi. Raichi got done dirty as well. I think everyone Ubers besides Byron and Isagi got done dirty. Like Nico did as well. Nico played horrible. People defend him, but I swear the 3 goals that Isagi scored all were from him.
Okay, right, yeah.
Because I'm trying to remember, because first goal, Isagi literally just walks past him and he scores. The third goal, he couldn't stop Hiyori in a 1v1. I think that's one of Nico's other weaknesses. He's just not good in 1v1 defending. Like he's more intercepting. Like that's why I
Right, yeah.
trust RE over. I don't know. He didn't have much of a good game.
Hey, holy shit, the
Anyone
Wise is here as well. Hey there. We had, no, I'm loving this. Lessons from Anime dropping in, the Wise dropping in. We're talking about Akira is slandering everyone in Blue Lock at the moment. We got like a full 5 minutes about how Nagi is horrible. We've got how Rin is terrible. We've gone on to Yukimiya. Now it's everyone. The Ubers match.
I'd like Yukimiya. The other things were just Ubers was horrible game. Nagi's trash as a character, same as Rin, I think. Well, Rin's backstory is the thing that's trash. Rin himself, the idea of destroying Flo and stuff is well done, but his backstory is so stupid. It's one of the things I rant about my brother all the time. Because also the one that got me into it like 5-6 years ago. The favorite character is Rin, so I'm like, bro, you have the worst taste in life. Because like I understand why he likes it, but I don't know. Because the Wise didn't hear me rant, but it's just if you have a brother and then he changes his dreams, it's not that big of a deal. Because anytime I hear his backstory, it's just I interpret it as, hey, if these two people in real life, who's in fault? Like they're both in fault, but it's like, why are you even crying? You're 8 years old. He changed his dreams. What do you do? I'm just like, I don't know. I know it's more in depth than that, and then how much it hurts, yada yada. But no, I just thought it was terrible. But yeah,
I have to say, the moment that kind of got me to latch onto Rin, this is really weird. Like, it is the egoistic destruction and everything, because that's such a good moment. But it's actually his thing to Nagi after he PXG beats Manshine. I'm just trying to find the chapter. Do you remember off the top of your head? It's probably like 241-ish. I'm just looking it up now.
Sorry. Which chapter? Are you after?
There we are. I just found it. The one where Nagi asks Rin, okay, what is driving you, basically? And then I just found it. And, Nagi asks Rin, what comes next after beating Isagi and Sai? And he's like, do babies think about death when they're born? After they're born, they have no choice but to live their lives with all they've got, whether what comes next is heaven or hell. And it's just so, at that point, like, no, wait, I don't think I should be taking everything that comes out of his mouth seriously. He is so over the top, so edgy, and now I'm just kind of leaning into that and I'm enjoying it.
He's fun to watch because he always has these cringy lines.
Yeah.
Like that line is funny, but like it is a good quote. But yeah,
I love it so much.
He has a lot of edge, which I do see the appeal.
Yeah, because at first, usually I don't like the edgelord characters that much, like the Sasuke type or whatever. So it took me quite a while to latch onto Rin for that reason. At some point, like, no, wait, this is veering into this corny territory, which I really like. So
yeah, that's the other thing I dislike. I hate the tongue sticking out. I know it's like meant to be a wild beast. I just think it looks so stupid. Because once again, I think of it in like real life. If you have your tongue out like a dog in the middle of a game, I just think, close your mouth, or you're gonna bite it. It just looks so stupid. But yeah, he's one of the fun characters to watch. I just very dislike his backstory. I just don't think it's well done, especially compared to Kaisa's and Yuki's and stuff. What do you guys think of Rin being the most popular character in Japan? I mean, yeah.
Is he? Not Nagi?
I think the first polls, Rin was the most popular.
Oh, okay.
I think currently Nagi's a bit more popular. But it makes sense. That's their target demographic. They always like those edgelords and stuff.
Yeah.
Same as like Sasuke and stuff. Even for Jujutsu Kaisen, they put Megami first. And I'm just like, brother, he's like one of the plainest characters in Jujutsu. How's he number one? But I don't know. They have different tastes. Yeah.
No, exactly. It See, I totally get why a lot of people latch onto Rin because fundamentally just competence is cool and the way he just so effortlessly stands above everyone else in the second selection. So I get it. Okay, we've got Rin, Isagi, and Bachira in the top three. I do hope that. Do you think? Because you know how we got like the two moments where Nagi is asking existential questions to Rin and Barrow, right? I really hope we get one with Bachira as well. Just because that also goes full circle with, back in the 4v4 in the second selection, where Nagi is the one to call out Bachira as, okay, but we wouldn't pick you at this point anymore. What are you doing? Why are you codependent? And having Bachira then be the one who can kind of spark that in Nagi, I'd really love that.
Yeah, I think because Bachira is probably the perfect one for Nagi. Because in first section, Bachira was the one to be the one that connects everyone in their match, like the team V team versus team Z, right?
Yeah.
So he impacted like, hey, this kid's pretty good. In the second selection, they're on the 3v3 together. They had a chemical reaction. Like, even, I'm pretty sure Nagi said, hey, Butcher's like perfect. He like does his like freedom dribbling, yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're in the current time. Because if you remember, do you remember what Levino's like teaching strategy is, right?
Yeah. He's not teaching. He's just wants people to follow their groove.
Yeah, he teaches. He doesn't want to teach you directly.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what Nagi needs. It's one of the funny things I've seen. It's like, yeah, he's a trash coach. Like, I agree. Like, he does nothing. But he talks about all this freedom and finding yourself and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing Nagi needed most. He needed it more than Chris. Because although Chris helps him a lot. Because another thing I appreciate with Chris is he's very patient. Like, the fact that he hasn't subbed Nagi off after 2 appalling games, and even when because I'm pretty sure Agi scored in the Manshine vs Ubers game as well, because Chigiri only got a 5 mil increase, I think. But I think Agi's sick of it, but Chris keeps reinforcing, hey, please try to awaken Nagi, he needs it. But
yeah.
No,
I really like. I've just working on the Chigiri video at the moment, so I've been going over Chris Prince's speech again, and I really just like him. I like what he's doing, and I think it's funny because Chris Prince says the exact things that Nagi should hear, but Nagi isn't at the point right then that he can, make sense of that, or that they're useful lessons to him, even though it's exactly where he should be going.
Yeah, Nagi and Chris have such a good dynamic, because especially since we know in Chris that in his backstory, he's like, hey, he's hit a very low as well.
Yeah,
and that's another thing they've talked about before with Snuffy's friend killing himself and stuff, and even now we know like Chris Prince, and he's like, hey, he had an extremely rough patch, which I think actually will happen to Kaiser, but this will be his lowest.
Yeah,
but yeah, the fact. I think that's why he trusts Nagi so much. He's like, hey, I've been in this downfall before. I still believe in you, which I respect. Even if he's dropping his salary, I guess he doesn't have control of the salary. That's the team's decision.
No, exactly.
But him just being like, I believe in you. I'll continue to. Is very respectful. Another thing interesting is if you look at the two teams playing, the FC Barca versus Manshine game, you notice a lot of the characters in the third selection will play in the final match. You'll have characters like Hiroki, Himizu. You'll have Nagi, Ryo, Chigiri. Like, if you look at the actual 9 characters on each team, you realize a large majority of them have, or even in the third selection, there's like Sunzaki and I forgot who else he played with. But there's Sunzaki as well. There's a lot of characters he directly interacts with in the third selection, second selection, they'll play in the final game. Like, even Nishioka's on his team as well. They didn't play with each other, but I think there's just that match is all about Nagi's development, which is why in the spin-off we've been seeing all these characters, because I think they're going to be used in this final match.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I have no idea how much Kaneshiro is lining up the events in the spin-off versus events in the main manga. If he specifically gave us Kiora stuff because Kiora's coming into PXG now, for example, or, as you said, all the folks that might be joining for the final Manshine and Barcha match. That'd be interesting, though. Because, it would
I
give him
think
something to work off with.
Yeah, I think that's the development match, which is where we haven't. I think Kiora was always hinted to do something more in episode Nagi since like chapter 1. So I think it was always in the back of his mind that he'll be important. Same as Hiragi. Hiragi was the character I wasn't surprised with that popped up. Because I think in chapter I forgot what chapter it is, but right before he made the U20 bench, right? But his team lost 5-2, so we knew he was good. He was the only fodder in the third round that we had no clue about.
Wait, sorry, who's this?
Hiragi.
Oh, Hiragi, yeah.
Yeah. He just popped out of nowhere. And it's like, I think it's always been hinted or planned that he'll have a huge role, which is interesting because he's also in the final. He's on Nagi's team as well. Yeah, after he directly stated,
Oh,
hey,
okay.
you're going to fail, bro. You're going to have a huge downfall. And he's on the team observing him fail, which is very interesting.
Right, yeah. Just by the way, I once say the Wise's comment about Chris Prince and giving what Nagi needs, but he's not ready. Completely agrees. Very well put. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah. There's not much else to say for it, for me at least. What else is there?
Yeah.
This season 2, I guess.
Let me just quickly look this up because Akira actually told me this right before we started streaming. I hadn't seen it yet myself, so let me just quickly see what's being... Or is there anything aside from a date that we have at the moment?
Well, no, it just says it's in October. I think it's the same animation company, which is the issue, I think. Because this season 1's animation was lacking, and from what I've heard from the movie reviews, they're like slightly better than the anime, but...
Okay.
It's not like you can train or anything like that. Like, it doesn't have good animation. I think the eyes and stuff, like the egos and stuff, they look nice, but the actual flow of movements, which is, I think it's very important in this U20 game because this is the big game.
Yeah. This is the make or break. I wouldn't say that, but it is. If you don't do the U20 game well, then I don't know what you would invest in.
Yeah, it's like if they just did slideshows for third selection and just put all the effort into the U20 match, I'll be fine. But the other issue is I don't know how they're gonna do the pacing for it because I'm thinking about it because it's only they have to do the third selection, but that's not that long. I think they'll show the first match.
Yeah, the third selection is like what 10, 15 chapters?
Yeah, I think it's 94 to 108 or something. So around those numbers. So it's like 12. So it's probably like 2-3 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Around 50 chapters for... a bit less than 50. About 40 something.
I think that's fairly doable. Also, of course, because Blue Lock chapters fly by fairly quickly, they're action packed. It's not like you need to put that much dialogue in there compared to many other manga, I'd say. But yeah.
So if it's a short season, the animation could be better. I think because the last time first selection and second selection looked a bit off when they were released together. So hopefully if it's just 12 episodes, they can actually nail. That's another thing I'm hoping. I'm just hoping the movie, they put a bit of effort in and they saved everything for now. I know they didn't, though. It's going to look trash. But
yeah.
I'm just hoping for the best.
So I'll have to admit here right now, and apologies for everyone in chat, I actually haven't seen the anime myself. I got into the manga, and I barely watch anime nowadays anyways. So I've seen a few clips here and there, and kind of the thing that put me off the anime, it's not even that much the animation quality, of course, although, that's not a selling point, but it's the pacing in the sense that Blue Lock, when you read it, it's a really fast story. It's action packed. There's like, even when you have a wall of text, it never feels like it's slowing down. And because anime is a fundamentally different medium where you have like dialogue is taking up real time. So suddenly having players talk to each other or monologue for a minute means that the matches feel, from the clips I've seen, feel very slow. And I'm curious how the film will do that, but I feel like if you want to do Blue Lock and make it actually feel cool, although I guess I'm saying that there are so many people who got into Blue Lock because of the anime, so it's obviously doing something right, but the Blue Lock anime I'd see would actually be way less loyal to the source material, take out a lot of explanations, or maybe reframe them in a way, rearrange them so that it actually, the action feels more dynamic.
Yeah. Because I watched the full anime, and then because I got a lot of friends to watch it because they don't read manga.
Yeah, that's always the challenge, of course.
Because from what my experience, the people that play soccer hated it, and the people that didn't play it liked it.
Oh, okay.
Because the first goal doesn't happen till like the third episode or something, and like that was one of the biggest turn off. And they're like, "Oh, it's very slow." They didn't like the idea of it, and then. The animation gets worse as it goes on. There's a lot of still frame, slow pace and stuff.
Yeah. I remember because the one part in the anime I looked up particularly was the 3v3 against Baro, or with Baro against Chigiri and etc. And I could just I'd read the manga plenty of times by that point, so I could just see the exact panels pasted on top of each other. This is... I can visualize the page here.
Yeah, well, hopefully the second season is better. The other thing I'm looking forward to, I want to see the character colors for the other U20 members. I know one thing is Gagamaru's shirt is yellow, and I know for a fact people are going to very dislike it.
Oh, right, yeah.
It looks disgusting. Dead set, it looks horrible. And then I know people complain about it, but this character's like, because you remember when Sendo, before his color spread, everyone just told him he was just straight up blonde.
Yes.
And then they make him have this salmon pinky orange hair. So I'm curious what the others are like. If Teppei has some like blue or green hair instead of blonde, like I expect.
Oh, right, yeah, that could very well be the case. Yeah, Loki, what's finally sold me on Sendo's hair color is the volume cover, because that's just such a cool pose.
Yeah, he has one of the hardest volume colors. Like him, I think Narase has a good one, and Shido. I think those three are like good colors.
My favorite one is Aiku, actually, just because he's holding the chains there, and it's like, that's the cops and robbers, and suddenly he's the cop. It's almost as if he's not the one being chained, but he's chaining someone else to him, and I think that's super dope.
Yeah, because he's a good character too. He has a good volume cover. I think most of them are good. I know there are a couple trash ones, but I don't remember. What is
actually low key?
Which one?
Number one. I'll just get it. This one here. Yeah, just kind of, I find it a bit creepy how he's directly staring into at your face. I think the pose isn't that great, and that might just be the English version. I'm not sure what the Japanese one has, but the green in the back is also kind of odd-ish. I don't like this one.
Because I'm looking at the covers now. I think I like Corona's. Corona's is nice. Same as Nico's. Nico has a good one.
Oh, Nico I love. Yeah, that's another great one.
I think that's perfect, especially since it matches the character. Yuki's is boring, I think, for his character. But Sonic is good as well. Rio's is a bit disappointing. That pose is boring. And Kaisa just doesn't look like Kaisa. It looks off.
Yeah.
But it's still fine. I just think his face is 'Cause I think his face has changed since the beginning of the NEL.
It
But
really
yeah.
has, yeah. I agree as well that it doesn't quite look like him. You see a lot like with Isagi too, the really early chapters, he comes across quite differently, in my opinion. But, that's obviously just, Nomura getting used to the design and making it his own.
See, because TDA, they say green for the main character of Blue Lock is just wrong. That's one of the funniest because I think the opposite. I think EC being green is probably the best color for him. Because I know
Mm,
like Blue Lock's color's blue, but I prefer the idea of them having blue until they awaken and get their color. I think green is a color for growth and it's
yeah.
very vibrant. So I think it just looks nice. But I
Ye-
understand why people dislike. I just
yeah.
think it looks nice.
I think green works for Isagi. I just don't like this green. I I'd have a hard time imagining this with a blue background just because Isagi already has a dark color scheme, a blue uniform, so it just wouldn't pop. It would all meld together.
Yeah, that's fine. I think there's too many blue characters anyway. Because I don't want another Irene. He already looks like him.
Hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah.
How are you doing in terms of time, by the way? Just because I'm aware that you have to work tomorrow and it's probably getting, later
Oh,
on
it's not
your
even
end.
late.
Oh, okay.
It's 7 PM. It's like 7:20.
Oh, then we're grand.
It's not
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't sleep till like 11 or 12, but I still have to eat dinner and stuff. 'Cause there's
Okay.
not much else to. What else is there to say?
Kaiser, I guess, the recent chapter.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We
You wanna
haven't
go?
like really
What were
touched
your
on the biggest thing of the week yet.
yeah, what are your opinions on it?
So, I mean, just to start with the absolute shock value, right? I had not expected to see something like obviously Kaiser would have a dark backstory. I was ready for that, but just seeing the amount of violence, then suddenly the scenes with Kaiser beating up the cops, it almost didn't feel like Blue Lock. I'm also still like I've talked with the Wise about this a fair bit. I'm still feeling like there's one more piece that really needs to be there to click everything together in terms of okay, how did the Kaiser from the backstory become the person he is now? Kind of what's driving him to be the his obsession with being number one, his obsession with beating Isagi, with beating Noah. But yeah, I mean, I talked with the Wise about this. He told me he was expecting Kaiser to be an actor, and damn, that was really on the money. With both his parents being in entertainment, and I think that really suits his character with the theatricality of him from his very first introduction. Yeah.
See, because I'm gonna be honest. His backstory is 100% what I predicted. Because I knew he would grow up in domestic abuse place.
Hmm.
Because we saw in one of the volume covers, he had like a torn up like soccer ball or whatever,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then got the riches in the back. So I thought it'd be from some poor place or whatever. See, and then later on he started choking himself, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously something, right? Like
Yes.
it's hard 'cause I was gonna make a video on it, but I didn't want to talk into domestic abuse or anything like that or violence because
Hmm.
it's a very iffy topic,
Yeah, of
especially for some
course.
people. But like from what I saw, I'm like he suffered something. Well, I thought it was a bit different because I thought the mum left. But my opinion was the mum left for something and then he abused him for that, which was like basically what it was. Like I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure most of my predictions for it was on the dot,
Okay.
but I didn't expect. Oh, there's one panel in it that just looked like there was one of the cops, and then they just looked like Noah. Like
Oh,
um,
I'll have to check that
it,
out
it, won't-
again.
it like it won't be, which because he has a very generic design. But on let's see.
See if I can pull that up quickly. It's...
Like I can send it on Discord.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I can share it over there.
Yeah, like I saw this panel, I was like, right, that's just Noah.
Oh, Jesus.
Like,
Yeah, you're right. Wait a minute. I'll just...
Because when I saw him, like, maybe he picked him up from Barcelona Munich. But the problem is he's not German, like he's French, so the chance is there. Like his age probably matches up as well because he's about 30, so you'd be around 26 years, 27. Like, I don't know why he'd be an officer. Like, it makes no sense. But I just thought it was so funny that the guy that looks like Noah is witness.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get the...
Yeah.
There we go. There's Noah.
Yeah. But at least it looks like him.
It really does. I hadn't even noticed that before, but you're absolutely right. That's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. If it is, that'll be so funny because it's just a weird call. But I think it's more to the fact we will see the FIFA guy at the very end. And we'll see his stuff. Because I saw another person mention that that FIFA guy is the poor guy from earlier. But I didn't see it. I read that comment. I was like, maybe if the hobo shaved and stuff, it could be him. But I don't think the FIFA organization dude would pretend to be a hobo for no reason. But
yeah.
Back to character. It is very interesting. Like it's a very in character for him. Especially one of the other things we notice, he starts soccer pretty late as well, right?
Yeah.
Because he looks, I don't know his age here, maybe 12 or something. Like
yeah, maybe even younger.
Yeah. So because Isagi started when he was like 5 or whatever, but Kaiser always started. Kaiser feels like he started late into the game, which is a shock. Because even Lorenzo was like, he's pretty prime as well. Like he wasn't a soccer player until Nuffy picked him up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm very curious because I'm expecting next chapter will be, once we get Kaiser and the PIFA president, will be interesting in terms of the contrast between Kaiser and Lorenzo, where Lorenzo, of course, he got like Snuffy had no idea if this kid could play at all, right? For all he knew, this was just he was going to be a dud. But Snuffy gave him unconditional love regardless. And Kaiser, that's kind of my expectation, will be nurtured with this mentality of, okay, I'm gonna discard you as soon as you are of no use to me anymore, or something. And seeing Lorenzo being just kind of happy where he's at, being seeming quite realized, quite content.
Yeah, it's a very cool dynamic. I think I'm hoping we see it later on. The other thing was what was the other thing? I saw somewhere Kaiser's kick is fueled by hate or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read too much into the theory. And it's like his hate for his dad. That's why he's like the fastest kick because he gets from his dad or whatever. Like all the kicks he got beaten from.
Oh wow! Okay,
I don't know if it's like a joke. But it's like his kick is always fueled with rage.
Right. Yeah.
Because it like I'm pretty sure he'll like picture that's his dad or something before beating it up. But it's very interesting what they'll do with this character. Because I've seen people be like, oh, it's guaranteed he'll score. I'm still expecting his downfall this match. Like, I don't think he'll get redemption until later. I think he has to really fall to the depth. He has to go back to his roots.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing, he did give the money to the homeless guy. So it's not like he is a terrible human. Like,
no.
For some like the time, we saw something from him, which is his true self, I think, because he isn't doing anything for show. He's just doing it for a genuine.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Also with Ness, right? Because at least the impression I got, Kaiser would have made the bastard selection in the backstory anyways. So he saw something in Ness and he actually seems to, partly just wanted to help him out and also getting close with him, sharing some of his burden, that did seem kind of unconditional to me.
Yeah, it's very cool. The one thing I was surprised with, 'cause I watched your latest video. It did
Mhm.
pretty well though. Good for you. I was
Oh,
proud.
thanks. Yeah.
I
No,
think it's probably the biggest.
it's kind of funny
But
because I didn't expect it to do as well as it did. It's, I think, now my second best performing video. But yeah.
but the shock, because I don't think Kaiser's a world type. I always thought he was a self. That was like the biggest difference between your theory and mine.
Mm.
Because I didn't write a script or anything for it. But Kaiser was always the show off, which is why I was surprised that you put him as a world. Because I think I think most people can agree he's currently a world type, but that's not his actual ego. I think
Yeah.
everyone he is a self. So that's where he'll go in as destroyer for like the end of
Yeah.
U20. That's his proper ego, his self ego.
Yeah.
I think that's close to Kaiser. Because I don't see why Kaiser would be a world. Because he doesn't do it to show the world. He does it to impress everyone. Like, hey, I'm him. I do the impossible. Like that's his gimmick. Like he wants to show off. Like he'll crush old pros, rising prodigies and stuff, not for the sake of the world.
So
Yeah,
I
but
guess, I mean, obviously I've said this in the video, at least how I understand the difference between self and world type, it's in, what a world type is someone who wants to do well within, kind of socially agreed upon parameters. So, wanting to get a high salary, wanting to have a high ranking, for me is something fundamentally world type. And that's kind of the same with Isagi, who he cares deeply about the fact that Rin is above him in the ranking. Rin, as far as I can tell, doesn't really care that much about his position in the ranking. He's actually more annoyed at Isagi, and that's kind of a more personal thing. Like there's, from a world type perspective, there's no reason why someone like Rin, who's just consistently ranked higher, should care about Isagi at all. But because Rin does care, and that's kind of his self type in there, that he's doing things for more personal, quote unquote, arbitrary reasons. And Kaiser, from his very inception, he is the king of the ranking, of Bastard's ranking. He wants a high salary. He wants the top spots. And that's kind of why I put him up there, because if you kind of look next, I think it's become stronger when you compare him to Rin and really see how different their motivations are and what drives them. And the fact that Kaiser is, upset at, getting, Isagi, encroaching on his territory the way he does, his place within the hierarchy.
Yeah, I guess that's a valid, because I had different thoughts on what the difference was. Because I always thought self was like Shido type, like hey, they'll score to show the world they scored, like to impress the world, and then the world is like what he said, like Hiri and Karasu and him, where they just like they contributed to the goal, like the whole scheming and everything around the goal is what makes the biggest impact. So I think you lean more into their personality.
Yeah.
But I lean more into their gameplay.
Fair.
Which is a cool distinction.
Yeah.
Because I think that was one of the things that got people confused about the most. At least what I saw from Reddit and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do agree, like, Blue Lock isn't... It's still a bit ambiguous or not quite clearly articulated how this works yet. So, I might just be flat out wrong. I found actually, like, Hiyori... he's really interesting kind of as a world type as well, if you put him next to Charles, because he had Charles, very clear self type. He does whatever he wants. He's a contrarian. Whereas Hiyori had a mental breakdown in the Ubers match because he wasn't quite sure what it was expected of him to do, right? I'm in this position now. I've been taught to score, so I guess I have to shoot, even though that's not quite what I want to do. But he conforms to the world around him. He conforms to societal expectations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god. See, what Nitro Zeus is just saying, his first Kaiser impact was on his father's head. I think, in all respect to Blue Lock, since it started tackling heavier themes, it's doing it very delicately. Like, there's no corniness in the snuffy backstory. Like, there's no edgy lines or anything. And I would really hate if something like that would actually be set in the manga, just because it would so undercut the gravitas of everything that we're seeing there.
So Blu-ray, you think Kaiser's over-reliance on Kaiser impact has stifled his creativity? Yeah, I think that's partially true. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because his Kaiser impact's just his leg swing. It's not like a distinct weapon, because everyone has a weapon like Chiguru's 44 degrees thing, like his angle. You have Isuki's off the ball movements. Like, I don't think that is much of an issue with creativity. I think the biggest issue is he limits everyone around him of their creativity. Because I think that's a big distinction between Kaiser and Isuki that's made. Is Isuki will bring the best out of Raichi. He'll tell him what to do. He'll bring the best out of Hiyori. Like, he will trust them. But then you'll have Kaiser be with Ness, and he's like, "Hey Ness, buddy, shut up! Don't think at all. Just do what we train." Like, he's limiting Ness, which in hindsight ruins Kaiser's development, because they're locked together. But Ness is suffering so much because of it, which is very interesting. That's why I think he'll break out, assist Isuki, because he'll finally be like, "Hey man, I am creative. I'm a magician. That's my whole gimmick."
Exactly.
Like, he's caught in the magician for everything. He has to be creative. But when you have someone like Kaiser strangling him, like metaphorically strangling, but like you're not doing anything to like progress. I think that's what's stagnating Kaiser, as well as the fact Kaiser only targets weaker people. It's like exactly what Chris said. He's like, you only target weaklings, you only target tired pros, whatever. You're fragile, which is why it's a glass chain on his volume cover. Like, he's so mentally weak that I think his creativity is not ruined by his Kaiser impact, but by his mentality, which is why Isuki is the complete opposite, where he's just gone so high.
Yeah, exactly. Because with Hiyori, that's the big one, right? He expects Hiyori to bring the best out of himself. Don't, just listen to me. Surpass your own expectations of yourself. Reach this ideal that only you can imagine.
Yeah, and I think that's what happened in the U20 game. I think once Kaiser, because I think one misconception is people think, hey, Kaiser will actually loathe Ness afterwards, like, because he will betray Kaiser. But I think it's the complete opposite. I think it will be Kaiser will be like, hey, you know what? Maybe Ness was in the right for this time. And then when he go into the U20 World Cup, a creative Ness plus Kaiser, you're gonna have like a stronger Hiyori and a stronger Isuki, like mechanically at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Hiyori's better than Ness at this point, but it's like they're just as good, but now there's no creativity issues.
Yeah,
which is very important, I think, for the story.
For sure. Yeah, the other thing which I think is holding back Kaiser right now is, he's the person, that's kind of his, the image of himself he wants to project is, I'm the person who does the impossible. And kind of after the backstory, I've started to notice that's all of Kaiser's goals, right? Every time it's this pinpoint accuracy, it's the bicycle kick, it's goals that shouldn't be possible. And now he's going down the deep end. He's losing all touch with reality. So he's making up this weapon that would hypothetically be amazing, that, spin shots. I forget what it's called right now. And he can't anymore, because at some point he's so devoid of what's actually possible, what's within his capabilities. And I'm curious how that gets resolved, and how But it is almost holding him back. He doesn't want to score regular goals, just do normal positioning. He wants to have the most impossible, the most astounding goals every single time.
Yeah. What's next? Can Ness get Metavision? I'm curious. Do you think he will? Because I know my opinions on that's no.
I don't have strong opinions on this. I'd say he doesn't seem like a Metavision character to me.
Yeah, I think he's more tech. It's like Butcher. Is like because Butcher actually has good vision, all things considered.
Yeah.
Like you check him out in the Team Y game and stuff. He's like he can pinpoint E-ski. He can read the field fairly well, but you wouldn't say he would have Metavision. I think the two key candidates is Rin. He'll 100% get it, by the way, and then I think Karasu as well. Karasu is the one I'm extremely confident will get it eventually. Because he's a defensive midfielder which needs it for one. And then the fact his whole gimmick is analytics.
Yeah.
Like he reads the field. Like I'm shocked he hasn't shown it yet, which hopefully we'll see it like soon. Like because Hiri's popping off, Karasu will probably pop off and overtake Hiri, and then Hiri will get the last laugh kind of thing. But I'm expecting a lot from Karasu.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the characters that has the highest chance to do something, at least in the PXG game.
I really hope so. It's, as said with Hiyori, I'm so happy with all we're getting out of him, and if we could also get a more significant Hiyori Karasu interaction, that'd be brilliant.
I would love that. Like, that's why I'm excited for a U20 match. I'm so keen to see Hiyori plus Karasu.
Yeah.
Or just a lot of characters interact finally. Because I think one of the biggest issues I had with NEL is they're not a team kind of thing. Like, they're not playing their positions. Right. I don't think EC should be the one to stop Baro 4 times in a match. I think Raichi, I don't. Another thing I was surprised about, why didn't, because Raichi's the man mark or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you just lock down Baro, Ubis basically have no offensive threat. Like, it's not like Bastard or anything, where they have Kunigami, they have Isugi, they have Kaiser, they have like more than one threat. Like, Ubis do have Sindo, I guess, and Lorenzo too.
Yeah.
And the fact that who scored in their first 2 goals in their first game. But I don't know. I felt like Raichi could have stopped them at least once. Maybe give Yukamiya the shine. That's why I think a lot of people like the U20 game, because you didn't have EC jump back to stop Sion. You had Ryu do his jump backwards to stop his goal. You had Nico intercept, send those kick. You have like actual moments where they're playing their roles.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's believable.
Yeah, although Isagi does stop Sai at one point. It's like Rin is stopping him, and then the moment Rin cracks is when Rin fails to stop Sai, but Isagi does. So it is in the U20 match as well, but it's not as apparent.
Yeah, it's not blatant. Like, you're like, in like a 90-minute game, Isagi doing that once in a game. Yeah, that's fine. When you do it 4 times, that's just, taking the piss, kind of like.
Yeah.
He, especially when Raichi did nothing that match. He didn't touch the ball once. Like, he did man mark Snuffy, which is impressive, and stopped Nico once, like by position. But besides that, he was very underwhelming. But it could have been his thing, especially since Baro and Raichi and Kunigami were the 2 people from the first selection, like, to be in the prime position to score. So having Raichi, Kunigami, and Baro have some meaning from the very first match could have done wonders for the game. Like, bring it back. Have an opportunity or something like that. Like a good call back.
It would, yeah. I know, like, because it's something a lot of fans talk about and don't like. I kind of let it slide just because my assumption is, even though it is awkward, it kind of breaks immersion. This necessity is that Blue Lock really wants to scale the different strikers against each other, because we, fundamentally don't really care that much about Baro versus Raichi. We care about Baro versus Isagi. And so they kind of have to be matching off against each other all the time, which I do think it's probably overplayed a bit in the NEL. But that's just kind of, for me, like, okay, whatever. I get the logic.
The other issue is they're trying to reinforce that Iski is him. Like, he needs to do all this to show the fans that
Yeah.
he's the number one striker. He's the best player for Blue Lock coming to the U20, which he stated. Like, once he's ready, he'll carry U20 to the finish line. He needs it to have like a 200+ million salary by the end of it. So it does make sense. He needs to do a lot. It's just a bit disappointing that he does so much, while the other players are more of his lackeys. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think his new piece is for his next goal? Oh, sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, that's grand. The honest answer is I really don't know. I find it so hard to predict with this. I like the idea a lot that we're now getting to combine all these weapons. So if we get to see all Isagi's different, skills he acquired over the course of the manga reconfigured together, I think that'd be really awesome, as an absolute touchstone of what he's been able to do. But I don't have any brilliant ideas. How about yourself?
Yeah, well, because I'm expecting a hat trick, right?
Yeah.
So I think it depends if Ring scores next. I think the next one is, it's like he said early in the match, once he understands everyone's world type or self type or whatever. So once he improves his protagonism and stuff and actually understands it, because I think what will juke Izuki for Rin to score will be him believing that Rin is a world type instead of a self type, and he'll do something that goes out of the way. Because I'm expecting Rin to devour Izuki's direct shot, so I'm expecting him to do a curved direct shot to score, because that's his whole thing. It's like Rin is very good at curve shots, and then he can direct shot. That's Izuki's weapon. So they'll signify, hey, Izuki, buddy, I just devoured you. And then Izuki, I think, it's very difficult to think, because I do think he may get Predator Vision. I know people won't like it because they'll be like, that's Baru's weapon. But I think it will be at least very similar to it. Similar to how he did something similar to Nagi's move in his first goal. I think his second rival is Baru. So it will be something very similar to a Predator Eye.
Oh, that's actually interesting,
Which is a bit hard to guess. Because in my mind, when I first did my theory on this match, I thought Kura would assist the second goal. But now that Corona's on the field and Yuki has to do something, and I'm expecting Ness to assist the final goal. So someone has to assist the second goal. Will it be Hiyori? Will it be Kiora or something? Because if Kiora doesn't assist it, he's gone. He's not in the top 23. He can't make it without an assist. And even with an assist, that's not good enough, because his salary is at 0 at the moment. And because you remember how I said earlier that 28 million is the threshold?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yukamiya, he got 29 and he scored a game in his Manshine.
Yeah.
30 million. So they scored goals and they're barely above that threshold. And then, so how's Kira going to get an assist and reach that? Because at the moment, Kira's playing like dog shit. Like, he's probably the worst player on the pitch. He got humbled by Karasu, which isn't a bad thing, by the way, because Karasu's respectable.
Yeah.
He's like 3rd, 4th best on the team. But when you lose the ball twice to Nanase, it's over for you, bro. Just how am I to believe he's going to make the top 23 when he get manhandled by Nanase twice? And then, So I did think Kira would, but I think at the same time, they're waiting for the next episode Naki chapter, which will be in a couple of days, to showcase his skills, and then they'll showcase it in the actual PXG game.
Right,
but it's too late. Like, we're like 1/3 in the match. He's done nothing. Like, 1 assist, I don't even think that's enough to validate it. Because if he gets the assist, that means Corona doesn't do it, Yuki doesn't do it, half the team doesn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just find it so hard to picture as well. And also, I don't get exactly if this is all we're getting out of Kyoga, why he's in there aside from just having the Naked King prophecy work. I guess maybe Kaneshiro needed, excuses to get in 10 Blue Lock players, and it would be more odds to sub in Kiora mid game than Yukimiya. But yeah, I would have expected more out of him by this point.
It's so weird because they introduce him in Ubers, hypes him up.
Yeah.
He hypes him up in Nagi.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he has merch as well. So you're like, oh, merch, he gets a volume cup. He gets a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He does like nothing. So he's honestly gonna do something big. Like I'm expecting it. But his whole character is just so weird. Because even the last game, one thing that annoyed me is like, oh, the next person with the best stats, Kira instead of Hiro. I'm like, why the hell isn't it Nero? Like, it's like what TDA. Like, Corona still Nero's, which is, they have very different play styles though. Because Nero's not an offensive player. Like, we've never seen him pass or anything. Corona's kind of trash at defense. Like, he lost to Chigiri like 3 times in the Manshine game. But Nero's like defensive. So if you have him play instead of Corona, like, easy can't really score. But then it annoyed me that he came in as the second best player on Fasted. Like, he had Yuki and Nero. They're the top 2. And there's 4 games and he hasn't subbed in once. It was like, at least mention that Nero was good enough.
Yeah.
Because 4P, he's the 4th choice for his original role. How does Corona get it? How does Hiri get it? And how does the first sub get over him? It's like,
so here's here's like, this is probably coping that we won't be getting this, but my main theory, hope for Neru is they sub him in when Loki comes in, and then they're like, okay, he's like, Loki is the fastest character in Blue Lock, and then bringing in the speedster defender as the one person who can feasibly keep up with Loki, kind of like how Raichi was able to keep up with Snuffy. That I think would be really cool. I'm not sure if Neru is the kind of character who gets such a glow up, but that's the one way I could see it work.
Because I in my theory I had the same prediction, like, hey, once Loki sub me in, I'm expecting the defensive players, so Menz and Birkenstock to replace with Noah Ikiguri, and we're gonna have, I don't know if Kira's gonna sub off or someone else, but then we will have Neru step in. I think you keep Yuki as well because he's okay with defense, and then you just rely on his speed. But like, if he can manhandle Loki and stop him, he should for sure is already better than Kira. Like, I don't know, it's just so awkward with this character.
I know.
Neru coming into this, I was like, finally we get a defense player, and he can act like we've known him since U20. He also has a missed opportunity with the Ubers game, because another thing I didn't like with it, you have IQ on the enemy team, you got Sendo, you got Fukaku. That's the Ubers squad. Like, they have so many notable Ubers players, and then all you have to do is sub him in, block Sendo once or something, give him a smidge bit of character development. But I guess they don't want him to be in the final 23, which is weird, because if he does stop Loki, it's very awkward, because it's like, we kind of need you, don't we? Like,
true,
Loki, definitely making top 23. So it's awkward, but if he had the intention to make the top 23, you'd think the author would have introduced them a bit earlier. They wouldn't be like, hey, side boy, come and stop him for a bit. I don't know. It's hard to predict.
Out of pure curiosity, by the way, so we're talking about the top 23 all the time, and that's what matters, who's going to continue for the next arc. Out of the 23, how many do you think will actually play before the end of the U20 World Cup? Like, is half of them going to be a bench warmer, like in the U20 match again?
I don't think that's one misconception, because I've seen people be like, yeah, Toy's gonna make, because the Toy's making it, right? He has such an insanely good salary at the moment, and he scored a goal. Same as Sendo. Sendo doesn't have as high a salary, but he wouldn't have scored a goal if he was gonna kick the bucket, kind of thing. Which is a surprise, because I actually predicted Sendo to be kicked out for Ikiguri.
Right.
An 18 jersey and stuff. But once he scored the goal, I'm like, hey, right, Ikiguri's done. Then he has his chapter. But, yeah, it all goes downhill. But I think in the actual U20 game, every single match is going to be a different lineup. The Toy is going to have, Like we'll probably have Easy every single game,
Mhm.
probably Ring too. But I don't see any point. We'll probably have like it'll be one game where they have to up their defense. So we're gonna see IQ, Ryu, and Niku all three together. We're
Mm.
gonna have Karasu as well. And then there'll be other games where Karasu gets subbed off. We sub in Raichi. There's some games with Kunigami will come in because Kunigami's in a tough spot as well. Because he was good in he's not that good at being a defensive midfielder, I think. Like he's good at man marking Shido because of
Mhm.
his athletic ability. But from the passing, actually, nah, I take that back. Because his assist easy was pretty good.
Yeah.
But it, I think he's still more suited for a striker. So it's very awkward to like.
Yeah. That is
Because
definitely.
we're very oversaturated with strikers. I think
Yeah.
when I look at the top 23, it's like, I think 17 of them, or like 15 or something like that, are all like forwards or offensive type players. And then it's like, oh, it's very hard to fit in a toy in when you can have like a ring.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah, it's actually because Blue Rose is asking this about Kunigami now, and I was wanting to ask you about this as well. Do you expect more out of his character now, or is man marking Shido going to be his defining moment?
well, I'm on one of my expectations is Kunigami getting subbed off later. I think he'll get injured because you've seen how reckless he's playing to stop Shido.
Mhm.
Because I think Shido will have another moment. I know because I'm actually expecting him to score in quotation marks another goal, but I think it's going to be a foul from Ikaguri. I think that makes most sense with the characters since Ikaguri and Shido were 2v2 together, abusive and stuff,
Mm.
and Ikaguri can foul from his right side against them. And it works. So Shido can score his goal, doesn't count, and then it shows off both characters kind of thing.
Mm.
But so I think Kunigami will sub off then. But I don't think his character is over either because when he scored the goal, I was actually expecting him to have the wild card backstory,
I
which was
know.
I was
Yeah.
very shocked. They just skipped it. I was like, that's weird because I thought he would have it because I was waiting for one of my future videos for it. Because if we're gonna see more photo character backgrounds, like with numbers and stuff, it may help one of my theories later on.
Mm.
And then they just didn't show it. I was like, okay, that's weird. Especially since I don't think Kunigami's scoring afterwards. So maybe they'll have it if he gets subbed off, and then they'll
Oh.
show it. But it's very because I don't think he's contributing in the second goal either. So I don't know when they would actually show
Yeah.
the wild card unless it's after the match. And by then it's like, oh, I guess that could work if they're like they show it after like him being happy, and then they show him depressed and then happy afterwards, like him recovering. But it was very weird.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, because I'm finding it hard to imagine how you would put that in there within the PXE structure as well. And it has to happen, right? We have to see what happened there. There's no way around.
Yeah, because they've hinted stuff, but that's not satisfying.
No.
I don't know. It's like these missing pieces we need to see
Mhm.
that we haven't. Like I don't know. Especially since a lot of people expect it, including me. I'm expecting like I think when I first started, I thought we'd have like 2 full chapters about it because I think there will be stuff relating to like
Mhm.
Imamaru, Kiwana stuff. He may see them ruin their bodies. I think that's one of the big things. I think
Mm.
they lost their talents overexerting or something. So he'll see them at their worst, which makes him feel horrible. Maybe he
Right.
eliminates them. I haven't thought much into the wild card, but there'll probably be like familiar faces from before, and he just
Yeah.
doesn't work well. Like he loses his hero because at the moment, he still doesn't have the hero ego, and even though even though ego asks him to throw his ego, we literally see Easy in the match, and it's like
Yeah.
his ego's not dead yet, bro. He's still the hero we've seen before. He's still a nice guy.
Mhm.
I don't think he's done yet, but it's I don't think yeah.
No, especially kind of if you look way back at Barcha, right? And then there's basically two storylines that are being set up as important for the NEL. That's, one, Isagi versus Kaiser, and two, what the hell happened to Kunigami? And those are being presented as almost equally important at that stage. And Isagi and Kaiser has been this constant, but Kunigami, especially in Ubers, but even partly in Manshine, hasn't been that prominent. And yet it's still, there are promises the manga is making us that no, this is going to matter. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it pays off because
a
lot of people hate Kunigami. So yeah.
No, for sure. Quick question before I let you go then. So I played the, you were talking about that as one of the things that's kind of happening right now. I played 2 or 3 hours of the Blue Lock mobile game yesterday. Have you played it yourself?
Yeah, because there's 2 games, right? There's the English one for the World Champion, whatever.
Yeah, that's the one I played.
Mm-hmm. There's the other one that's Blaze Battle, but it's only Japanese. And then, because it's a gacha game, and then I do play some other gachas. I never spend or anything, but it's just not that good of a game. Like I tried playing. I pulled my characters. I'm like, half the time I'm just skipping. Like the gameplay is very dead. Like if this wasn't a Blue Lock game, I was like, I'd sack it off so quick.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I played about 2-3 hours. I found actually for me, funnily enough, I thought the matches were just kind of, I thought that was kind of cool, at least for, I'm not sure if I'd keep playing for a long time. I probably won't, but, kind of they feel dynamic, they capture that, back and forth. But there are kind of, for who hasn't played it, you've got these training segments where you have 50 turns or something where you can, and after each training segment, you get a dialogue, a bit visual novel style, where your self-insert POV character is talking to one of the Blue Lock characters, and that just dragged for me. Or okay, fundamentally, I think that's a cool idea, but there's too much, and I'm just kind of powering through dialogue to get a bit of gameplay. So I had fun with it yesterday for just kind of sitting down for an afternoon, but I kind of doubt it would hook me long term.
Yeah, because I only enjoyed the gacha pools. I did the gameplay just for the gems, the pool, and I was like, the gameplay is It's very. I think one of the interesting parts is you do see some dynamics of characters.
Yeah,
you can see Okura interact with someone, or Kira interact with Rio and stuff, and it's like that's kind of cool. But once you know what happens, it's like, hey, what if I don't care? I just click skip half the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Karen. Yeah.
No, that's what I noticed as well is since the dialogue is recycled in each playing session, the first one was like, okay, this is kind of fun. And especially for some of this, characters who don't get that much dialogue in the manga, because a lot of stuff for the bigger characters is kind of pulled from the manga. But for example, I had Gagamaru pulled, and so he's just suddenly getting all this random dialogue of him training, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually kind of curious what they do with him, since you don't really get that much characterization from him. So I thought that was kind of fun. But yeah, I think it'll wear off if you see the same dialogue 50 times.
Yeah, it's very repetitive, especially because I run the same 5 characters every single game, so it's like,
okay, yeah,
there's no variance. Like you see the same thing, and that takes time. It's like, I don't know. Well, wait, is that a final question? Wait, I'm hoping for a definitive description. What makes PXG different from the other teams? Yeah, I think that's another weird thing, because I think Barca had their identity as freedom or whatever, or freestyle. I don't know the exact word for it, but their identity is finding yourself. Manshine is all about stats, physical ability. Uber's is teamwork, tactician stuff. And, yeah, PXG is just weird. I think they just star power,
Yeah,
which is just.
basically.
Yeah, I think that's why his advice is always more on the generic side, where he's just like, "No, no, just improve everything." Uh, Sentetsu, run a bit more. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, which because his only objective, because he said before, it's Charles. He's only developing this because he wants Charles to improve.
Mhm.
But I don't know. But he is also interested in Blue Lock, seeing as how he's mixing Kaisen, not Kaisen, Rin and Shida.
Yeah. But no, I'd agree where for me, especially, actually all three matches, I was going to say, especially Mancha and Ubers, but that's true. I also like Barcha. I really liked how each of the teams is bringing something unique to the table and kind of challenging Blue Lock's central ideas, or challenging slash giving an alternative. So it was always very fun for me to see, okay, how do you deal with this juxtaposition between a established hierarchy versus freedom, or this highly coordinated team versus the chaos that is Bastard München? I thought that was one of the most fun parts of the NEL for me. So it took me a bit before I got into the PXG match for that, because as you said, it's kind of just star power. It starts with the hook for PXG is, oh, everyone's really good now, everyone's high level, which I like the character work. I like the ideas of Blue Lock. Those are kind of the two things that really hook me on this series. So
it also doesn't help that the one character that developed the most on PXG is Nanase, which I'm very happy about, by the way, because I was very happy because one of my videos was about Nanase.
And shoot, we haven't even talked about Nanase yet. You're right, yeah.
Then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, Nanase just has pop off chapter, like 4 in a row. Something like that's hectic. Because I actually called in the video he is ambidextrous, because I noticed in the third selection he's always kicking in his right, and what we saw in the PXG is he's always kicking on his left. I was like, that's a bit weird, especially since they changed his position. So I was like, oh, he's probably ambidextrous. The other thing I was guessing he had protagonism. So I don't think he'll develop it yet, but I think that's his next weapon. But we will see. But going back to it, the issue was Rin was the one that helped him. It wasn't Loki.
Yeah.
Which I think is the biggest issue. I think that's very similar to Bastard Munich, because no one's not teaching Bastard anything, by the way. It's always Iski learned from Kaiser the Metavision and everything, and then everyone underneath Iski is learning from Isuki. Doesn't feel like Noah's helping them.
Yeah, Noah helped Isuki at the very beginning, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, it's because he does give tips in the game, talking about a pinched Kunigami and stuff. And even in the latest game, he is a bit more vocal. But it always feels directed to Isuki helping, and then Isuki teaches the rest of the class, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that Nanase is going to get a glow up, or is he going to be screwed over by Rin?
Oh, see, that's the thing is, when Rin goes in his destroyer flow, he ignores the rest of the team.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he will just dispose of Nanase when he scores. Like, he'll score on his own merit, or he'll score from Charles. So I don't think Nanase will directly assist Rin. But I don't think that will annoy Nanase too much, because I think the final goal he will try harder to actually assist them, because he will blame himself or something. But that's another thing that's extremely scary, and a reason he may not make top 23 is because he's relying on Rin, but if Rin fails, he fails. It's like he said that to Tokomitsu. He's like, yeah, if he doesn't become the hero of the match, they're probably dead. Which is why, even though he's having a good game now, Akira could probably steal his spot. Which I'd still be annoyed if he did, unless Akira pops the hell off or something. Honestly, he just has a higher salary currently, playing better than it. So it's very hard to say Akira deserves it. But at the same time, I was watching, was it Aero Assassin or something? And then he converted all the salaries from yen to USD or something. And Nanase is already on 6 figures. It's like,
oh,
even
damn.
if he gets eliminated, he's set for life. Not for set for life. If you get that as a 16-year-old, you're happy.
That's mad,
'Cause he's
actually. Yeah.
also yeah, because he's also second youngest, I think. He's only a month younger than, uh, Nico. Is protagonism a weapon or mindset? Personally, I think it's a mindset. Uh, yeah, I think protagonism is just understanding the other people in the field. So it's a weapon based on mindset. So I think, like, EC incorporates his protagonism with his metavision. He's like, Rio will do this. Like, he'll
Mhm.
understand Rio's movements.
Yeah.
So he'll use his metavision in accomplice with his protagonism. So he'll be in the right spot use because metavision is just realistically reading the field. Then
Yeah.
his protagonism will be like, hey, Rio's just gonna pass the Nagi.
Yeah.
So he's gonna run for Nagi, but understand the field of where to be. So I think Nanase getting protagonism would be like he can understand, hey, Hiyori and Isuki are gonna do this hectic combo together, so he can intercept it because he just knows that combo will come, or he will know
Yeah,
like
exactly.
what Rin wants. Like it's just understanding people to its like best. But that was Nanase's whole gimmick in like the third selection, where he's just friendly and tries to know everyone.
Yeah.
But it's good that he actually has a weapon now.
No, for sure. It's really cool to see him, and hoping that we are gonna get. Or I'm just really. I feel like there's something. Rin is such a loose cannon, and once he pops off into destroyer modes, I'm kind of scared for Nanase. I'm not gonna lie. Just that Rin is going to ruin everyone, everything around him, and Nanase is then the first in the line of fire.
He's like the closest to the next Naruhaya we're gonna have, the next biggest impact.
Yeah,
he'll be like the saddest elimination because you see him try this hard and he just gets eliminated.
yeah.
It's just, I'm hoping the best for him because I actually like him a lot. I liked how well he's played. Because if he gets eliminated after this game, like he's done more than Tokomitsu and Zentetsu, and it's like, oh yeah, damn, unlucky boss. But even if he doesn't make it now, I'm pretty sure when the World Cup happens, it will be 26 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll just include Sai, they'll include Ikiguri, and they'll include Nanase. So if like they don't make U20, I don't think it's the end of the world for his character. Because the World Cup's the big thing. Like, I think most people care about that more.
Yeah.
Which I hope he hasn't.
I guess then again, the World Cup might be 4 years down the line or something. So
maybe longer. Yeah, it's not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Is that all?
Is there? I was thinking as well. So yeah, one final question. So I want to get a habit of asking everyone this who I have on. Would you just any media like anime, film, video game, music, whatever? Do you want to recommend me some stuff? Just some stuff you think is cool?
No. See, the thing is, I don't do much stuff anymore. Like, I think for games, the only one I play is League, but I'm not cursing anyone with that. That's not fun. Like, I don't play it much anymore. I don't. Music is a bit harder, but because I know some good bands, not bands, but singers.
Mm-hmm.
But I could DM them. It's like Akama, like ACCAMER. She has an amazing voice.
Okay.
And then as for manga, I recommend. Have you read his other work, Kama-sama Game?
I still really want to read Kanashiro's other stuff. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, I highly recommend it because there's 2 books for it. It's like the first one's probably like 20 chapters, and then there's like a sequel to it. But the sequel is like split story, but then it like links up later on. So after like half, the original cast is back. And then it's like a death game. It's like Blue Lock 2.0. But I highly recommend it. If you like Blue Lock,
yeah, no, because I think for Jagan, I was at some point just out of curiosity looking at, or was it Kamisama or or Jagan, one of the two, looking at reviews on my anime list, and it seemed to be kind of mixed. But I do definitely want to check them out. So I'm very glad to hear you enjoy them, because I think
it's a lot better than Jargon. Jargon has a lot of issues. I think Jargon is very carried by its art. It has a lot of it's very sexual kind of thing, which is not my type. I don't really care for that stuff. But I do recommend the other one.
Okay, yeah. No, I'll definitely check it out then. As soon as I'm, kind of similar as you now that I'm spending so much time on YouTube and stuff, and just got a job as well. I started the channel while I was between jobs, so I had a lot of time to just do and read stuff. Now I don't anymore. But reading more of Kaneshiro is high priority, so I'm very glad to hear that. Yeah. David, thanks so much for. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say that Blue Rose had one final question for your predictions for Barca versus Manshine. Who do you think is going to score and the scoreline? Because personally, I'm expecting a Nagi hat trick. I'm expecting 3-0.
Really? Wow.
Not 3-0, 3-2. I mean, I think Barca will be up 2-0 and get reverse swept by Nagi. Just a full hat trick.
Wow.
One of the things, because people will be like, "Oh, it's too soon." I don't think so, because the 4 strikers, it should be 5 with Shiro.
Yeah,
it's always been Rin, Baro, Iski, Nagi.
Yeah,
so it makes sense all 4 get hat tricks. It fixes Nagi going up, and I think the other issue was if it's not Nagi scoring, it's Chigiri. But I don't think Chigiri scoring if Kunigami doesn't, because I think both will end with 2 goals and the same salary kind of thing. I think both will be like 100 mil, and then Chigiri 96 mil. I think Chigiri will have like a 44 million increase, like his number, and then Kuni gets like a 50 mil increase. And then, because then who else in Manshine will score? Like Rio, I guess, but I don't know. Rio kind of, he did try, but it's very awkward because I think Nagi's really the only one that can score. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know people won't like if it does.
Yeah. So I haven't, to be honest, really thought about it that much, but it's not crazy, actually. Now I'm thinking about it more. You're absolutely right that, Nagi having a hat trick would be, the sign that he's back on the same playing field as the other main strikers.
It's also, if you remembered earlier, I mentioned that everyone in Manshine vs. Barca directly related to him in the second, third selection. That's why I think this is his match. This is his development match.
Yeah.
You have Hiraki, Himazu, you have Shinzaki. Even these fodder characters like Hiraki and stuff, they will push Nagi. Like, they're all directly related to him. So he will develop from him, develop from Agi and Rio. They have a new weapon or something. But at the same time, there's the off chance, because I did consider this, that Rio just assists someone else other than Nagi. Like, imagine Nishioka getting a goal and just straight up stealing Nanase and Kyora's last spot. He gets 29 million from a goal. Because I think that is a possibility.
It is a possibility. And it will also be off screen.
Well, that'll be the funniest thing ever if he just gets a hat trick, not a hat trick, but a goal off screen, makes the top 23, rocks up the 20. But
I would love that. Yeah. Loki, I'm such a fan of the Nishioka trolling. I wanted to keep going, so.
I love it as well. That's why for my latest video, I just had his thumbnail. Because for it, I just love Nishioka. The idea of his character, he appears once and then dips. And everything else with it is off screen. It's so funny to me.
No, especially because people keep speculating. When's the Aomori of Messi? And that Kaneshiro really wants us to do that. He wants us to go mad about this. How come we haven't seen the Aomori of Messi or Messi of Aomori yet?
Yeah, I remember every single birthday, like the last 2 years or something. They're like, because his birthday is May 1st, so it was like last week, and they'll post it on their official channel, not channel, but their Twitter page, and they're like, Nishioka, he still hasn't appeared in the main story, but wait for it. Or they'll like hype him up, and it's like, but you're not fooling anyone. He's not doing anything on the screen. But it's so funny how they treat him, because he's such a gag character.
Yeah,
but I do it. yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
brilliant.
episode, I think. Thanks for the
Yeah.
chat, Sean.
David, thanks so much for joining me. Like, especially with the time difference, I'm really glad we were able to make this work. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be in touch in some way, shape, or form down the line.
Yep.
So have a good one.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah, and also
talk to you some other time.
yes.